Mr. Rosser? If you want to go ahead and put that on, are we live with that on? Okay, testing. Come on in, parents. Come on in, students. She ran. For everybody at home, we will start here in less than 1 minute. Mr. Rosser, it is 6 o'clock. Are we ready to go? Okay. All right, Mr. Rosser, how are we doing back there? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello, and everyone in person, we certainly want to say hello. We are broadcasting live from our Kennedale auditorium. This is a new venue for us to do some live broadcasts, as we normally do these from the PAC. So if we have any issues tonight at home or in person, you guys let me know. Everybody that's here in person, I do want to let you know I'm going to use a microphone tonight. It's a little bit loud, louder than probably necessary if I just had an in-person audience, but it does help us, help everyone at home to be able to hear. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to try to service two audiences today, and that's going to be a little bit different. We're going to go through some norms in just a moment, but if you're at home, I want you to make sure you log into your Google so that you can use the chat feature. So I'll give you some time to do that as we kick into gear, but I do want interactive audience, whether you're in person or at home. I do have my administrators down to my right, and they are going to be watching the chat feature on YouTube Live. And if we have questions from home or comments, you can send those in, and we'll try to address as many of those as possible. And so everybody watching at home, you can participate in this meeting too. Parents, I do know that we have a lot of different things going on in the district. It is a very busy time of year. This is a different year. We are starting school on a Thursday night, and tonight, being 2 days before the first day of school, we have some other campuses with their Meet the Teachers nights. And I do apologize. We could have had this meeting tomorrow night, but I certainly didn't want everyone to have to stay up or to have our kids and parents just finding out information on the night before school so that you don't have any time to adjust if you hear anything that you need to hear. So that's why we're having that tonight. But hopefully this broadcast, which we will keep up on YouTube, I put it on our Facebook page, which at Facebook you can find us at Kennedale High School. You can find the link to this, and I've also sent it out on Blackboard. Lots of different ways that you can come back to this presentation if you need to, or to send it to your friends or other parents. But I've also, if you check your emails, I'm going to remind you several times probably throughout this presentation for our parents and our students to check their emails often. In fact, students, I would say multiple times a day. Parents, probably once a day. Maybe at an evening when you get home, check your email, see if you got anything or the district that's relevant to you. But if you check your emails, if there are any parents out there who have their phones or their laptops with them right now, you can check your emails. I've actually sent tonight's presentation to you. You can actually, you've got the same presentation I'm going to show on screen tonight. You've got it, and again, you can refer back to it. And sometimes there's some interactive things. Right here on this page, for instance, if you've got this at home, you can click on the presentation. There is a little YouTube link in the bottom right-hand corner of this presentation. If you click on that, it'll take you directly to the video that we are recording right now. I am Michael Cagle, principal. And usually when I start a meeting, I do have a universal signal. I've already got started, but anytime students, if you're out there, if you hear Wildcats, may I have your attention, please, or parents, you hear that, I'd like you to stop what you're doing, set aside what you're doing, your work or whatever, on the speaker. We're going to be using that throughout your high school career. In fact, one of the biggest first times I used that was today at fish camp in the cafeteria. But if you listen for the universal signal, within about five or so seconds, I was able to get the entire attention of the cafeteria freshmen who've never been, most of them, in this high school before. So it is effective, but we're going to be using it. Parents, students, you'll hear it throughout the rest of your high school careers. As we start this meeting, just like in our classrooms, we want to go over some norms and expectations. If I have any in-person participants tonight, please remember to silence your cell phones. We are again recording, and we want to make sure that we have as clear as possible of a recording that we can have. We are not going to take breaks, so we're going to storm right through this presentation. We got a lot of information for you, probably more than most of you want. If you need to use the restrooms, please stand up and take care of your own business. Just a reminder, if we do have a speaker speaking, use a level 0 voice. If you're at home, anytime we have a meeting, we ask people to start trying to log on about 5 minutes before the designated start time. We do want to encourage participation. Again, we're using YouTube Live. If you log in on your YouTube channel, you should be able to use the chat feature. Ms. Middleton is down front. Do we have any chats, any comments already? Okay. Well, do we have some nice comments? I'm sure they may not be so nice as we go throughout, but again, parents, I appreciate you. And if we keep those chat comments appropriate, if we keep our questions going, we will try to get to them, and we will have a question and answer session. Administrators, I'm going to ask you to remind me to pause a little bit, and we will have, at the end of certain sections, some time for question and answers, and I'll try to make sure that I'm reminded. If I do have any speakers up here, I'm going to have Ms. Browning come up and talk about our dress code tonight. I'm going to have Ms. Middleton come up and talk about our CCMR program a little bit with you. And speakers, I want to remind you that if we have questions from the audience or questions from the chat, to make sure you repeat the question on the speaker. That way everyone, including in-person participants and at-home participants, can hear them. Parents, if you're out there, or students, you're always welcome to email us in the administrative team. Parents, I'm going to give you in this presentation a lot of contacts. One of the things that I want to accomplish tonight, if I can accomplish anything, is to give you points of contact, especially for those of you that are new to our campus and you're going, well, who do I call about this? Hopefully tonight you'll get at least some starts to some points of contact for different things. But right now, let's just start with me. If you got a question that involves your child that you don't want to ask tonight in front of the whole group, you can email me and I'll try to answer you within 24 hours. Okay? But when we get to those question and answer sessions, I am going to have my APs read the questions for all to hear. And I'll say this, that middle bullet that I've got up on the screen right now, I don't always have the answers. And if you've got a question that I can't answer now, I'm going to do my best to try to go get the information I need to come back and get the answer for you. So parents, believe me, I've stood on stage many times in my life, and people have asked me questions, and I have that deer in headlights look. But if we got something that I can't answer now, we'll certainly try to get to it. And if you have a question that involves another expert on that topic, I'll give you that contact information if I can. So that's the way we'll go. All right. Any questions at this point? All right, whether you're in person or at home, I'm going to also get you started and get you some resources. We have, last couple of days, as we've been gearing up towards the start of school, we've been working on getting our website updated and removing old stuff and putting on new stuff. We had a lot of information last year related to a totally different style of school. We had virtual learners, we had hybrid learners last year, we had in-person learners. We did a lot of teaching school virtually. Well, this year's a lot different, and we've had to put updated documents. We've had to start all over from scratch again. But here's a place you can go. Parents, if you don't know where to get started, if you go to the Kennedale ISD website, which is www.kennedaleisd.net, if you'll go to the Kennedale ISD website and select a school and select Kennedale High School, this is our homepage. So if you look at the screen that's in front of you, you can see our homepage. The place to go is under the 2021-22 tab. Okay, that's hard to say, hard to believe that we are in the year 21-22. So if you'll click on that tab, there's going to be a lot of the documents today. For instance, I'm going to talk about our campus map. I had a lot of freshmen, when they were done with fish camp today, they go, Mr. Cagle, where's the front doors? And so we gave them tours of the building, but it's a new big building, and they get turned around, but there's a campus map in there. There's teacher contacts. So I've got a document in there called the Teacher Tutorial Times, and you can find out the tutorial times of your teachers, and on that list, it's got every one of the teachers in this building. It's got what they teach, their room number, and their email address, and their phone extension. Okay? So all the ways you can contact teachers from day one is right under the 2021 tab. I want to remind all parents, we did a check. We still have not all of our students registered, and we probably won't get them all registered until the start of school. I don't know if all of our parents, if you don't know this out there, we had a lot of students attend our in-person registration days, but we had a lot of kids certainly that did not. Right now, we've only had about 60% of our inspected enrollment, or our expected students, fill out their online registration form. So one of the first things that I want to remind everyone, returning or new to the district, one of the first things they've got to do is parents, you've got to complete online registration. So Kennedale ISD has a very helpful site and a very easy navigable site to get to registration, but there's the link for you in this presentation. So if you need to complete online registration, you can do so, but you need to do so very quickly. We will not issue Chromebooks or do student IDs or give out completed schedules and all of that stuff until your student is completely registered online. So parents, if you're out there and you're waiting on registering your kid, go ahead and start that process, maybe even tonight or tomorrow morning, so they can be ready for the first day of school. And if you need assistance with registration, I've got some contact information there. Our registrar is Shelly Fieschi, and her email address is on the screen. If you need help in Spanish, if you need Spanish assistance, you can call Dawn Ramirez. She is the KHS and KISD lead counselor. Her contact information is there as well. So anyone that needs assistance, our registration days are over. So at this point, we're going to ask that you schedule an appointment with the front office. And our front office is very busy. They are currently enrolling new to district students. Right now, we've been keeping a list of students coming into the district, a list of students leaving the district that we know, and we're at about a 2-to-1 ratio of students entering Kennedale High School versus students leaving. I think we've got over 90 students enrolling in Kennedale High School and about 40-something that have told us that they are withdrawing. So we look to be adding to our expected enrollment, and we expect to be over 1,000 students. If you are a new to district parent out there and you did get this link or find us on Facebook, there are some directions here of things that you need to do or things that you need to have. I've got a list of documents on the screen that you need to register. But no matter if you're new to district or you are returning, we also have some, besides those KISD registration forms and those documents like your proof of residency that they ask you to upload when you do the registration on the parent portal, we also have some forms. So there's one form that all of our students have to complete, and that's our technology agreements. All of our students here will receive technology. They will use technology. We don't have many textbooks, parents, at Kennedale High School. I've had a lot of parents say, Mr. Cagle, what school supplies do you need? What do I need to go buy? And I tell them, don't go buy a lot of school supplies right now. Wait till your child comes and sees their teacher. A lot of it is dependent upon the course. Parents, the one thing that I'll tell you right now is don't go out and spend a lot of money on supplies that just pack up. Wait and see at Kennedale High School. Your kids all have different schedules. They all have different teachers. Wait to see what they actually need. Most of your students will not carry, unless they are in a very few select classes, will they actually have a paper-bound textbook. All of your students will have devices. Their backpacks will probably be about that thick unless they've got athletic clothes or shoes or anything like that. The main thing they need is their Chromebook. Students, keep them charged, keep them handy, don't lose them. Don't cost your parents or yourself money, all right? And take care of them. If you are a freshman, you're going to be given a Chromebook, and that's your Chromebook for the next 4 years. You crack it, break it, all that stuff, that's what you're going to have to use and deal with. Treat it like it is your personal best belonging and take care of it. So. The other things, though, if we got older students out there, if you're driving to school, you got to get a parking permit. I believe that's $30 to park on campus, but that information was sent to you in a newsletter about registration. And then if we have students, seniors, our seniors, one of the luxuries they have, and our students that are in CTE practicums, one of the rewards for being in a CTE practicum, if you make it to that third-year CTE course, is you get off-campus lunch. You work hard, we're going to reward you. But you do need an off-campus lunch agreement from your parents. If you're in those CTE practicums, you'll get those agreements after the first day of school. Is that correct, Ms. Middleton? All right. I want to remind everyone that Kennedale High School is a Google campus. We are a Google campus, and all of our students will be issued Chromebooks. We're one-to-one. There's a lot of school districts still, a lot of the bigger districts, our neighbors that are around in these larger districts, some of them are not one-to-one. You're very lucky you go to school in Kennedale ISD. We do have a plan to refresh our Chromebooks every 4 years. Every year we get a new batch and we give those out to our freshmen, and they get to keep those. So freshmen, you're going to get new Chromebooks just about every year we get a freshman class, and again, take care of those. But every child will have a Chromebook. Students, I'm going to say, if you read those technology agreements, don't forget to take care of it. You lose it, there is a fine and a fee to replace those. I think it's about $300. Okay? You lose your charger, $40. The most common thing that students lose is what? The charger. Okay? They don't think about that. They don't always carry it or need it. They borrow their friends, and then when they turn them in, there's $40 down the drain. Okay? Students, parents, if you can remind your students, maybe check on them once a week. Hey, where's your charger? Where's your Chromebook? Let me look at it. Is it cracked? Okay? Look at the condition of those parents. Again, I don't want you to be I don't want you to have extra money coming out of your pockets or your children's. All right? I want to remind everybody, Google is the Chrome web preferred browser of the district. Students, I want to remind you, if you're logged in a district account and you're on a district device, it doesn't matter if you're at school or at home. There are school filters to make sure that you're on appropriate websites and all of those things. And so keywords, key websites, they do come up. So parents, just remind them of that. We will, in the principal's office, the assistant principal's office, we'll see, we get, whenever keywords come up, they come to us, and sometimes, we're alerted on different things. So students, be careful and be focused on your district devices and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with those devices. Guys, last year we did all virtual learning, and all virtual learning went through something called Google Classrooms. Google Classroom is it's basically a portal, a hub where teachers post assignments, they grade assignments, they post videos, they post lessons, all the things that they can do. But each teacher, right now I've said when we think about school, a lot of parents are going, what's school going to look like? Well, guys, we planned all summer for school to look normal again. Now, with the news lately, I'll say this, we're also preparing for the worst. We're preparing at Kennedale High School to go back into, if the state tells us or someone tells us that we got to go in to do what we do again, which I hope doesn't happen. I want normalcy for all of our kids, but we are going to do some things. We're going to start collecting information. We're going to have every teacher have a Google Classroom, okay? We want kids familiar with it and teachers familiar with it in case that becomes the norm again, which we hope it doesn't. But students, I would say it's actually an easy way, a good way for teachers and students to communicate with each other. And parents, I think some of you that got familiar with that would agree. But students, there's your bookmark. By the way, I said we got a lot of contacts here. We've got a lot of websites in this presentation. That's why I sent it to you. There's something you might want to bookmark is where to go get your Google Classrooms. And don't forget, there's the way that you log on. All right. If you are out there, we've had registration, we've been issuing devices. Students, one of the first things we're going to ask you to do with those devices is look at them. What's the condition? You're going to do a condition report for them. But anybody who has immediate problems can contact our librarian, and she is also our instructional media specialist. But she has done an amazing job. Her name is Miss Booble. She goes by Miss B, and she'll be responsible for distributing, again, over 1,000 Chromebooks. But this is your contact early on, parents or students, if you have problems. All right. I said that once you're given a Chromebook, you got to do a device agreement. I sent out this information in a newsletter. If you're out there right now, parents, we're going to try something new. We got a new feature on our website where we can create permission slips, we can create forms that you can sign and your kids can sign digitally. So if you will actually follow the steps here, but the main one is to go to step number 3. If you'll go to that link, you and your student can sit there and sign their consent agreement together. We're going to try some permission slips that way this year, as I always seem to be tracking those down. But this is an easy way. Again, you can do that right now from your phone if you're sitting next to your kid. All right. Students, your schedules, we handed a lot of those out in person in our in-person registration days, but all of you, parents and students, we have, your student schedules are out there. We have a system called Ascender. Ascender has different systems. They have a parent portal, a teacher portal, a student portal, but those are the links. They are there for you if you want to bookmark those or put them in your phone. Parents, parents are often asking, how do I get to that portal again? I know you got other things in your life. This is a good time to take an opportunity to maybe click that link and save it. I've got some contact information. Parents, if you're stuck, if you don't know your login, Candy Allstott is our PEMS clerk. Her information's down there. You can email her and say, hey, I can't log in, or whatever it is, or I don't remember my login. She'll help you out. But again, most of you have registered. Parents, you know how to get in the parent portal because you had to get in there to register. But also your student schedules should be in there, and students, you should be able to access your schedule. Students, if you got those schedules and you've got them pulled up, if you got a paper copy today, take a picture of it, put it on your phone, right? That way, if you lose the paper copy, you got it the first day of school. And students, if you pull it up on your phone in the electronic edition, screenshot it. But have your schedule available the first day of school. Parents that are new to our campus and students, we got a big campus here. I've showed this last year when everybody was virtual. Our freshmen, we had a lot of freshmen last year. Some of them never came to campus until this year. So this is the first year that I'd say about half of our sophomores, this is the first time that about half of our sophomores and all of our freshmen will have been on this campus. Okay? That's quite a bit. And so I put this up there. If you've been around here for a while, we use a lot of terms like the MPR, what is that? Or the HSC, that's our Health Science Center. I want our students to be familiar with these terms. We have an original campus that was built, and I'll go here. Our original campus was built and then it was added on to. Okay, we have an 800 hall. That was, and when you look at our campus map, the 800 hall is the newest extension of the main building. And above that, the newest part was the shell that was originally built above the 800 hall. It was finished I think about 7 years ago. That's where most of our CTE classes are. It's the upstairs. It's the up above the 800 hall. It's the 900 hall. But a lot of other things. There's a difference. The original school was built with a field house. You might hear that called the field house. It houses soccer and softball and some things like that. We also have a newer part that is built that wraps around our football stadium. It's a locker room facility, and it also has a big, large indoor practice facility. That's the indoor. But I will say there is a football locker room that's at the end of the end zone there at the football stadium. And then there's a building also where they have board meetings that's connected to that, and other meetings and sometimes student testing in a building called the Media Center. So just make sure you know where that is. By the way, you're in the auditorium if you're here tonight. This is the original auditorium that was built in this school until they built a performing arts center outside. We're very lucky for a 4A school district to have a performing arts center, or PAC. Okay? So make sure you're learning those things. This is the main first floor of our building there. So you can see that if you are a student, we have grouped different departments by hallways. So if you are on the 100 hallway, you are what subject? Most of our teachers on the 100 hallway are math, okay? So most of them on the 200 are science, and so on. So you can take a look here. The 800 hall is mostly social studies. There are some CTE teachers. And then upstairs, we have mostly our CTE hallways. I'm going to go back, Mr. Rosser. By the way, Mr. Rosser is streaming our broadcast tonight. He's our new CTE AV teacher. He's back in the booth if you're here. Mr. Rosser, I'm going to go back a screen so for those at home so you can back up. I want to go back to some things. I've got some boxes in blue. I want parents to know we are starting normally. We've returned all the desks and tables back into our classroom that we took out to make space for social distancing last year. The 3 boxes that you see are actually large spaces, like this auditorium's one blue box. Then we have a blue box called the MPR. That was the original band hall before they built the PAC. That has been turned into a multi-purpose room that archery, cheerleaders, robotics, and other organizations will use. It's a multi-purpose space that we put some flooring in, put a projector in. They've been having professional development trainings with the district there. But also, we use those spaces, for instance, the MPR and our B gym. We got 3 gyms, the main gym, 2 others. Gym B, last year we actually spread kids out and they ate lunch everywhere. This year we're going to come back and all eat in the cafeteria and outside in our student plaza. But if we have to spread out again, I want all the students and parents to know where those locations are. Our CTE hallway, career and technical education. I said we use a lot of acronyms that we take for granted. Parents, our CTE program, that's career and technical education. A lot of those are upstairs. And so on your campus map, if you pulled them up on the website, you can see those names of the classrooms by location. So parents, you got that campus map. It's online. Students, you've got that campus map online. I'll talk about our fall open house. We didn't have a meet the teacher night, but we are going to soon. Where parents, last year y'all didn't get to come up and visit the high school and see the teachers in person. You saw a lot of them online on Google Meets and all those kind of things, and on Microsoft Teams and Zoom meetings. But this year we are going to invite our parents back, and we're going to have, or at least we plan to have, a fall open house, and we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, I'm going to introduce just quickly introduce some of our administrators. Some of them, if you're in person, they are to my right, and some of them are going to come speak in just a few minutes. I'm Michael Cagle, principal. What I've done up here on your screen and in your PowerPoint, I've listed some of the key responsibilities of your different administrators. We have lots of hats to wear. And sometimes, guys, you may call me and you may ask me a question, but if that is a lot of times, if that's not my key responsibility or role, there's probably someone else on campus that knows more information. For instance, Ms. Browning is our associate principal. She is in charge of, she is our campus behavior coordinator. She does a lot of things with truancy and attendance. She does a lot of other things. But there are things that she's responsible for that I may send you to her, or to Mr. Smith, who does 504, or to Mr. Hyde or Miss Middleton. But we got a lot of different people. I've put contact information. For instance, one of the things that I do a lot of things. I'm over personnel management, but I'm also the ARD facilitator. So if you have a student in our special ed program in grades 10 or 11, I would be your administrative contact for them. All right. I don't know if do y'all want to come up yet, or you just want to, I'll just introduce you here. They're going to come back up in just a minute. Allison Middleton is one of our newest hires here at Kennedale High School. Parents that are here, she's down at the front right. Wave again, Miss Middleton. She's going to come up and speak in just a minute. She's our CTE CCMR coordinator. But she is in charge if you got a question about dual credit AP. She's also one of our testing coordinators for ACT, SAT, AP, ASVAB. We got a lot of those things coming up. But if you got questions about those, or I said CTE is Career and Technology Education. CCMR is Career, College, career, or military readiness. She's in charge of all of those things to make sure our kids are ready to do things after they leave Kennedale High School. Her information is there. Her office is on the 900 hall. And then Miss Browning is down right front. She is our associate principal. She has some major duties, and two of our biggest ones are up top. She is our campus Title IX coordinator. We are required to disclose who our Title IX coordinator is each year. So if you have issues concerning Title IX, that would be Miss Browning as your contact. She's also our campus behavior coordinator. She has been in charge of attendance and truancy, help our campus have 5 consecutive years of attendance increase, which is an amazing thing. And so she does a lot of things. She does discipline for grades 10, 11, and she does ARDS for grade 12. But there's her contact information. She's located in our AP office. Jared Smith is our academic dean. His title would suggest he does mostly things academic. He does not do a lot of discipline duties in the main office. He is our campus testing coordinator for a lot of things like STAR, LPAC, our MAP assessments, and all of those things. If we have any parents with students in the 504 or dyslexia programs, he is your contact. He's our coordinator, and he's also our summer programs coordinator. He is actually no longer in the AP office. He's in the 800 hall office. So he'll be at the back of the building this year in the 800 hall, just below Miss Middleton, who's upstairs. Gerald Hyde is our newest member of the AP team. Mr. Hyde is here tonight. He is our Dean of Students, and just like his title would suggest, he is over a lot of things, a lot of student-led programs, whether it be end of the year prom, or he was in charge of registration. So our registration went very smooth. And parents, how many of you went to registration? Did it go pretty quick? Did we get you in and out? I got some good signals. Hopefully we're getting some good comments on YouTube chat. But he was in charge of registration, did a great job for that. But he's also your GT coordinator if you need to. And he does discipline for grades 9 and 11. And he's the ARD facilitator for grade 9. I know that seems like a lot. Parents, in your brain, mark what's important to you. So if you got a 9th grader, and just about attendance questions and discipline, you'll contact him. And if you have a student in grade 9 who's in special ed, he'll be your contact as well. He's also in the AP office. And then we were lucky enough, 2 years in a row, we've got a federal grant to have an AP intern, Miss Tate. And I know this freshman class, and probably some of the sophomores at least, had Miss Tate at Delaney Elementary. She was in the special ed program, but a very outstanding member of the Delaney staff. Well, guess what? She's right up here working alongside with our administrators. She's going to be one of them, and she's going to be in training, working on her master's degree in educational leadership. So she's with us. We got 2 main counselors on campus in case you got students in grades 11 and 12. You'll see Miss Dawn Ramirez. She's also the KSD lead counselor. And there's her contact information, especially if you have 11th and 12th grader. And then, I don't know, is Miss Hunt here with us? She is not here with us. She was busy with grade 10 registration today, but she has done personal graduation plans with freshmen. She also does our Career and College Day, which is one of the biggest in the area. We had over 80 schools at the last in-person College and Career Day that we had. So if your kids go to Kennedale High School, they're going to have a good experience with that. There's their contact information. So parents, let's stop there. Do you know which counselor and which administrator you would contact? Okay, I'm going to take a pause before I introduce the last person. Do we have any questions either online or from our in-person audience at this point? Do we have any questions from online?
No, but we do have a comment that registration was easy and organized.
We had a comment that registration was easy and organized. Parents, we do appreciate that positive feedback. Believe me, sometimes it doesn't feel that way, and I just appreciate those comments and I appreciate Mr. Hyde for that good leadership. All right, any questions in here? We good? All right. Guys, one of the things I want you to know, we've had COVID. We've had a lot of kids go through a lot. Parents, anybody want to admit the kids have lots of anxiety? If we had virtual learners at home, you worried about kids coming back to school, worried about what those pressures are going to do. You know, you don't have to admit that out loud, but I will say, I think there's a lot of you, there's probably a lot of kids that got worried. I saw a lot of kids come in, and this was first time in a big group of people today at fish camp, and all those freshmen together. They did pretty good by the time we got to the hot dog meal, and they got in the water balloon fight there at the end. But seeing their faces at first, there's some nervousness. I do want you to know that our kids have been through a lot. We do have what's called our CIS social worker. CIS stands for Community in Schools. Okay? It is an outside organization. Our social worker this year is Tina Thomas, and she is going to do a presentation also at our first open house on the CIS program. But she has a lot of available resources for our kids and our families and our parents. She has a reach to over 80 outside organizations. We help families last year do a lot of things. I mean, from getting eye care assistance to outside counseling to we brought in outside groups to do presentations for kids. She's gotten free school supplies to pass out to kids and backpack programs and send home food programs. But I don't know what our families' needs are. But if there are any families or students out there with personal needs, this is a person you can contact. Now, her email's a little different down there. They've changed that up a little bit as they've reached the outside organization, but there's her phone extension. Every phone number here starts with 817-563, then the extension. So everything at the high school starts with 81. Okay, hers is 8191. That's Miss Tina Thomas. If you have questions out there, remember all of our parents, bring your medications up to the school. Parents, don't send kids with your medications in their backpacks. That's a good way to get a trip to your grade level assistant principals. But that is our lead nurse. If your child has medical needs that need to be addressed or they need medical assistance during the day. Now, I want you to keep this in mind, parents. I really want to applaud Mr. G, our superintendent, and our district leaders. They've brought in a new program this year for our parents and our families that I think if you haven't heard of, and tonight's the first night you heard of it, it's certainly not something I came up with, but this was something that Mr. G fought hard to bring into the schools, and it's something that's amazing for kids, and it's called Hazel Health. But remember this nurse contact. I'm going to get to Hazel Health later. I got a list. I'm going to skip a few slides really quickly. We've got some new hires. I've listed those. For instance, I did introduce our CTE AV teacher, Mr. Ross. If you got AV program out there, anybody in AV class, you're going to have Mr. Ross, or you can see him after this presentation if you're here. But we got a couple new band directors. We've got some new coaches. We got some new paraprofessionals. We got some new people in custodial and nutrition. But take a look at that list. We also have, I'm going to stop on this page, we have a teacher named Brandon Kelsey. He's coming to us. We actually, parents, if you've seen your emails, we receive federal funds. The state of Texas finally released some federal funds called ESSER 3. Anybody see any emails about ESSER 3? Okay. One of the things that we know that we had last year during virtual learning was high failure rates. So we're going to use ESSER 3 funds, a district we've hired for the next 3 years on ESSER 3 funds a credit recovery teacher, our program we call Fresh Start. So he is a federal, he's a benefit to our campus from that grant. And then, by the way, our new lead custodian is Jeffrey Leha, who I believe has a child in our district this year and going to go to school at Kennedale High School. So we want to welcome him aboard as he's going to be in charge of the district's custodians. But we see a lot of names there. You can go through that list. We also have some teachers in new roles. For instance, if you know Coach Irby is going to move to teaching professional communications. He was in business last year. We've had some moves in the, Miss Petrie, she's going to go from our ISS paraprofessional. She's actually going to come work in that main office and be part of that front office staff. So we have some other teachers who've got new titles, new responsibilities, new roles, and I've put all those up there for you. And then we have had some people move around. So we've had, and I'm going to go back, we've had some people move to new rooms and offices. So you can see those on your screen. One of the big changes there that I think that you'll see is that our security guards are, they had been located upstairs last year. We're going to locate them at the front window at our front doors of our school to provide even better security. And then if you had Miss Robinson, Miss Martin last year, and you loved her environmental science class or whatever you had for her, she got married. She is no longer Martin, so you can't find Miss Martin anymore. You're going to have to find Mrs. Robinson. All right. Kennedale High School. I don't know. Gerald, do you want to come up and talk a little bit about this, or Miss Browning? I don't know if they do. We have a new set of, I know that Mr. Hyde had to leave, and so he has left us. He was going to say something. Parents, there are some new things. We wanted to make sure Kennedale High School this year, when kids came back to campus, we had some clear expectations for their behavior. We have realized, that with our teenagers, some of them have not been in school now 1.5 years in a building. So we want to make sure that our expectations for them in their classroom and common areas and all of that is clear. So we have something, and again, this is in the presentation I sent to you in your emails. You'll see this, and we're going to talk to our kids about this. This is something, parents are always saying, what can we do to help? Well, this is one way you could help. You can go over what we call our ROARS expectations. We actually, again, didn't come up with this. We actually borrowed and modeled from one of the schools below us here in Kennedale ISD. They have ROARS. Now we are too. Ours are a little bit more outlined. We have some more things on there to read. But these are expectations for kids when they're in common areas, classrooms, bathrooms, when they're at special events, on the buses. But our parents say, Mr. Cagle, how can we help you? You can help me by going over these expectations with your kids. If we are all on the same page, we're going to have less incidences of behavior. That's research-based. But if you ever hear us say, a wildcat always roars, these are our ROARS expectations for 21-22. You may see this posted throughout the building to remind students of exactly the way that they're supposed to behave. All right. Again, I'm going to pause here and take questions. I am going to have a speaker come up. We're going to have Miss Browning go over our student dress code. She's going to talk about that briefly and the changes. Before she comes up, does anybody have any questions for me? No one on chat? All right. Without further ado, our Associate Principal, Dakisha Browning.
You don't have to clap. Thank you. You don't have to clap. Okay, so this year the district implemented some changes that I think the students will find friendly, and we're trying to cut out some of those referrals that students were receiving over the past couple of years. So it's still the basic dress code that's been in Kennedale. The major changes for this year were students are allowed to wear rips or holes below the knee. So if you have any rips or hole in the thigh area, you cannot wear that below the knee. If you have like a little tear, but we can't see the skin or anything like that, that's fine. But the major holes, which I know a lot of them come when you're trying to put your jeans on in the morning, as long as they below the knee or right at the knee, we're okay with that. The next major big change where you can wear T-shirts. In the past, students only could wear collared shirts or spirit shirt, of course, hoodie or sweater. Now you can wear that T-shirt. So if you want to get up and you want to put on your favorite Nike shirt, that is okay. All shirts still must be school-friendly and appropriate. No vulgar language or anything that could be offensive. Let's see. Well, thank you for putting that there. All right. So T-shirts will be with school-appropriate designs allowed. Jeans pants with holes, rips, tears allowed below the knee. Those are the basic changes. So let me just remind you, Since we know we do not have a mask mandate, students last year got away wearing the nose rings because we weren't trying to see what was on your nose. We wanted you to have your mask on. So just be mindful, nose rings are not allowed. So don't go get your nose pierced tonight or tomorrow night because we will have to have a conversation. And while we're still in summer mode and getting ready for school to start on Thursday, let me remind you, your hair color has to be a natural color. That's not my rule. That's not Mr. Cagle's rule. That's the district rule. So that means your hair can be red, gray, which I'm still trying to figure out why young people want gray hair. I colored mine, black or brown. So no blue, green, none of that, okay? So I need you to get that taken care of by Thursday. Of course, if we have some people come, we talk and we try to make some adjustments to them, but this is not the time to go decide to get your hair colored orange for school on Thursday, okay? That's weekend hair, and, excuse me, summer hair, not weekend, unless you can wash it out by Monday morning, okay? All right, Mr. Cagle.
Mr. Browning, stay by for just a minute. Do we have any questions online or from the audience about our dress code? Nothing come through online. Okay. Parents, again, how can you help us? Review the dress code with the kids. When you go shopping, our dress code is pretty fair, especially compared to a few years ago. We had a very strict dress code in Kennedale ISD, and anybody that's been here knows that we've tried to make that as fair and consistent as possible, and worked and listened to some feedback from our students, from our community members, and some things like that. But we have a pretty lax dress code, but we still, like Ms. Browning says, if she says no holes above the knee, don't buy anything with holes above the knee. If you've got kids, then you see nose rings. Make sure those things are taken out or covered up, whatever, before school starts. If you got that natural hair color question, ask, is green a natural color? No. Okay, and so red is. And so, like just Mr. Browning said, parents, you can help us by going over those expectations with students. Parents, a lot of you have asked, we have just about some basic things about school, and so we're going to move into some things. Again, I've tried to get this outlined. Last year we had different circumstances. We actually extended our school day to help us with instruction to 8 hours. We're pulled back. We've got a 7.5-hour school day. In that link that I said, if you go to Kennedale High School or on the district website, you can find the district's academic calendar. Okay, we start school on Thursday, August 12th, and I believe we end before Memorial Day in May. Okay, and so if you got those vacation plans, you can start planning now. Pull that calendar out, though. It's a good time for you and your families to plan vacations when you can and can't leave, and those kind of things. Just remember, I didn't put some information up here that I take for granted. Parents, if your kid's new to our school, we don't do 6 weeks grading up here. We do what? 9 weeks grading. So things are different. That brings on your student has to stay focused for an entire 9 weeks for grading. And so we've got grading guidelines out there. So read the grading guidelines and those kind of things. I'll talk about those. I've posted them under that 2021 tab. Oh, we got a delay. I'm sorry, from chat. Parents, I'm going to come back to this screen. We got a question about dress code. The question was, can students wear Black Lives Matters t-shirts?
So the answer to that is no. To keep the school environment neutral and safe, there are no social or political t-shirts allowed. Same go for, well, if your student chose to wear a mask. So we try not to offend anybody, or we want anybody to wear something that's offensive that will offend anybody. So unfortunately, no, we do not allow any social or political shirts.
One more.
Okay.
So just clarify, logos bigger than a credit card are allowed. Yes.
Logos bigger than a credit card, the big jumbo Ralph Lauren polo symbol, that is allowed. You can wear that.
And bigger than that is allowed.
And bigger than that is allowed.
Any print such as a graphic tee.
Graphic tees are allowed as long as they are not offensive or vulgar. So if you have, for instance, somebody can't be on your shirt cutting their neck off or something, you can't wear that with blood spewing out their head. You have to be mindful of things like that. You can't have a shirt with a gun or a weapon or cuss words on it. You can't wear that. That's it. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and again, we do have a very diverse campus, and we want to, did I have another question right up front? No. We have a very diverse campus. We want to allow T-shirts and things with graphic designs, but again, we want to keep as neutral of an environment as possible. And just remember that, again, when you're sending your kids to school and things like that, and we have a very inclusive environment, Kennedale High School. It is a very fun environment, Kennedale High School, and we appreciate your support on all those things. All right, our first day of school, oh, I have another question. Yes, sir. I'll get, let me get there. I'm going to come back to that. Is that okay? The question was at home, where are the grading guidelines? And so I'll come back to that, and if need be. But if you're wanting to search that way, find the high school website. Go to the Kennedale High School website and go down to the link or the tabs at the top and choose the 2021, 22 tab. And there's a list of things, and one of the things on the list is grading guidelines. Okay? So I tried to make that as user-friendly as possible, but I know parents, when you're searching all over the place for things, it can be tricky. Guys, just to let you know, we are Kennedale ISD. Last year, we moved our start time to 7:45. Well, here's the good thing. We're going to keep it at 7:45 this year. It's a 7.5-hour school day. School goes from 7:45 to 3:15. Also, on that 2021 tab, or 21-22 tab on our website, you can find our bell schedule, which we'll look at next if you want to look ahead. But school starts at 7:45. If you have children at other campuses, you can see the start time. We start first with the elementary schools. So if you got a high schooler that drives to school, they could drop off their brothers and sisters at the elementary and then get on to school. Just make sure they get there early. We're actually going to let our buses drop off early. There's a reason we're doing that. Our bus drop-off is going to start off at 7. And what we're going to try to do is we're trying to make it, we got a lot of students that take the bus transportation. We're trying to allow all of our students to be on campus, as we're going to try to get this year we've scheduled things where we're going to try to provide students the opportunity to attend before school tutorials if they need be. The problem in the past has been the buses have arrived after a lot of those start. By the time the kids get breakfast, they don't have time to go to tutorials. We're going to actually allow buses to start showing up at 7, and we're going to allow kids, even if they ride the bus, to attend our before school activities. And so that's one good thing. But you see the breakfast hours? I don't know if you know this or not. I don't have it. I think it may be at the end of the PowerPoint in my other key updates. All kids this year will eat free breakfast and lunch in Kennedale ISD. Okay? Whether they do things, you know, typically we've had the NSLP application, the National School Lunch Program application. This year, because of some things in the USDA, the district sent out information, all kids will eat free. Kids, here's one thing, you got to help yourself out. To eat in the cafeteria line, you got to have your ID. All right? So we've been printing those at don't lose your ID. If you want free lunch, free breakfast, you got to have your ID. All right. We are returning to a 7.5-hour school day. There's the calendar. I've also included, and I've actually sent this out, I think, with the Blackboard system through your emails. I've sent out our bell schedule. They look different than last year, so certainly we had that 8-hour school day. The one on the left is the one I'm going to focus on. There's 3 others on the right side. One of those is for assembly days. We've already got, if you get the master calendar of events, in September, I think we have 2 or 3 pep rallies already scheduled on Fridays. We have homecoming early. Usually homecoming falls in like October. I think it's late September this year. But check that out. If we have pep rallies, they'll be at the end of the day. So parents, if you have a pep rally kid participating in the band, cheerleading, drill team, that's at 2:40. But in our normal day, this is our normal bell schedule. We have an 8-period school day, 1 through 8. Again, it starts at 7:45. You can see our classes are 46-minute long, except our 5th period. 5th period is when we have lunch. There are 3 lunches. Your kids will either have A, B, or C lunch. So parents are looking at schedules and they're going, how do I know what lunch my kids have? Look at the room number of their 5th period teacher. It will give the room number, for instance, room 18, and then it'll have an A, B, or C on it. Okay? So kids, if you're looking at your schedule, you can know what lunch you had, but I am going to try to make that easy. in just a minute. If you have B lunch, just note your class will be split. You go to class, then lunch, then back to class. That is our bell schedule. Any questions over that bell schedule?
It's not necessarily a bell schedule, but it says for students in before school activities, what time do they need to be at school and where do they meet for attendance?
Okay, I'm going to talk a little, let's just talk a little bit about schedules. The question was, looking at schedules, you're going to see, sometimes I said we have an 8-period day, 1 through 8. But I got a lot of kids with schedules that have a 0 period, okay? Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about 0 period. For some students, that 0 period means that they have a before-school activity that they've got to be in. But for a lot of school or students, they might have something like golf that doesn't necessarily mean it's before school. It means that it's outside of the school day. So there's 2 different kinds of 0 period. There's 0 period like golf that means it's outside of the school day. It's not, for instance, we don't have a golf course here at Kennedale High School. The kids can't go, well, I guess they could go play golf, but we hope they don't. But they will have golf. It's actually going to be after school, but it's listed as a 0 period, meaning it's a before or school activity. Now, I also have some 0 period activities which do require kids to come before school. Those are called accelerated learning courses. Does that answer that question? So if your kids have an accelerated learning course, some of them are going to be asked to come before school, and I'll talk more about that in a minute.
A question was asked, just verifying that masks would be allowed.
Okay. There's a great question, and we'll talk a little bit. Right now, the district is operating under a green. In the summer, we went to a green. We have a color-coded system. We were at level green as far as preparedness and those kind of things. Right now, the governor has said that no one can have mask mandates. You saw Dallas ISD. Their superintendent actually went on yesterday and said, we are mandating masks. And so things are very political. Here's what I say. We're not out of COVID yet, and I'm going to recognize that. And for for those, I'm going to highly encourage we have mask wearing, especially if you are in close proximity. People, our kids do get right on top of each other. And but the reality is, with the teenagers, I know that I'm going to encourage they can wear those if they choose to. Certainly, parents. Here's the answer to the question: can they wear masks? Absolutely. All right. Are they required? Absolutely not. Right now, under a green level preparedness and under the governor's executive order, there's no requirement, okay? But students absolutely may choose to wear masks. We had a lot of parents and students come in. We got parents in here right now wearing masks, okay? And so that's totally all right. Yes?
I had a question about, will physicals be provided again, or do we need to get that done at the doctor?
Physicals will need to be done. The question was, will physicals be provided by the district, or will physicals for athletics and UIL and all those things, will they be, or do I need to go to the doctor? As far as I know, physicals need to be done at the doctor. I do know I saw something recently that there was a provider that was doing them for $20 here, one of the urgent care clinics, but I can't remember which one. Guys, there are deals out there. Check it out and see. But you do need to get your physical. If you have questions, you can contact our head athletic trainer. Her name is Shannon Johnson. So Johnson S at KISDTX.net. Another question from the chat line.
If they were not able to attend registration, can they come tomorrow?
That's a great question. What happens with kids who didn't come to the in-person registration events? We still got families on vacation. I get it. School doesn't start till Thursday, right? But if your kid didn't get their Chromebook, didn't get their schedule, by the way, schedules are out there on the parent portal, like we said, and the student portal. But guys, if your kids didn't come get their stuff during registration, we're going to take care of them. We'll take care of them when they come to school. We've only printed probably about 50% of the student IDs that we need. The reason we have these in-person events If we can get half of our Chromebooks checked out and half of our IDs made, it helps us just facilitate the first few days of school. It's going to take a few days to get all the Chromebooks passed out, to get all the IDs made, to get all the kids to know where their class is. We understand that. So if your kid didn't come, they'll get it the first days of school. Did that answer that question? Any other questions from the chat line? All right. No more questions from the chat line for now. I'm going to move on. I do want to go to this, okay? And I'm not going to go deep into this. This was a legislative year. Texas legislature meets every 2 years. This year, of course, they're always busy. They added some things. There was I tell our staff, if you saw their student IDs, flip your student IDs over, students. What do you see? We were required this year to put a suicide hotline on the back of IDs. That was a state law. Okay, lots of things come out. There's lots of things they're still working out that affect our students in education. One of the biggest ones this year was called House Bill 4545. And parents, again, I've got a lot of parents here for a lot of reasons tonight. So this does not affect everyone, but there's some links there if you want more information. This bill is so complicated, they're still working out. The states, it's going to take them a while to work out. And in fact, in their latest guidance and their latest frequently asked questions, they've made it very clear that in the first year of implementation, schools, they're going to have some, what's the word, grace, is about the way they've put that in there in implementation. But in short, House Bill 4545 requires schools, now they're saying we must provide what they're calling accelerated learning. We must provide 30 hours of accelerated learning in small group settings, any student that failed the STAR test. That includes the 8th grade test. That includes the 5-star end of course exams they take at the high school. So with that said, just looking at numbers, they passed that bill coming off the COVID year, of course. And right now, coming up from, I want everybody to remember, our 8th graders, their STAR tests last year were optional. So we had students who didn't test. We had students who went and took the test, not so sure how, seriously some of those 8th graders took that optional test. But with that said, just coming up from 8th grade alone, we have 151 kids that either didn't pass a test or didn't take it. So when we look at sheer numbers of the amount of students, we have over 300 students in grades 9 through 12 that this affects, that they haven't passed one or more exam. Remember, between 8th grade and their EOCs by 11th grade, that means that students have, that's 9 different STAR tests that they have between 8th grade and their 11th grade year. So I want you to remember that, but a couple of things. We got 300 students that we've got to serve in small groups, and just the sheer numbers and sheer size of this. Here's what we know. We got to get more of our kids help so they can pass STAR tests. That's absolutely what this bill's intended for. But to get all of this and to meet a lot of these requirements, here's what we've had to do. We used to have classes called Reading and Algebra Lab, Reading 1 and 2 and Algebra Lab. We've actually renamed those courses. We've reimagined them. For instance, our accelerated learning, we are now calling them accelerated learning classes to meet the language of the bill. So if you teach, parents, if you see that your kid on their schedule has an accelerated learning class, and then it should have the subject, that means that that is the class where they're going to get test remediation, test prep. Does that make sense? So a few things. The question came up with the 0 period. We simply, just by the numbers, couldn't fit all the kids into the school day. So what we've designed here is we've got a 30-minute block of time. I'm just going to call the 0 period for the rest of the year. What we've done is we've organized our master schedule. We start school at 7:45. Parents that are new, we used to start school at 7:20. Okay? We had staff meetings at 6:40. All right, in the morning. That's a tough thing to do. But this extra time in the morning, I want everyone at our high school, our buses get here early. I want you to picture this. We're going to try to get kids here at 7:15, so at 7:15 they can do what? They can go to tutoring. Our teachers can meet before school in what we call their PLCs, or professional learning communities. This is also a time when, for students who we couldn't get accelerated learning courses in because of their schedule. Remember, we got kids repeating classes. We got some kids that are that have full schedules or have certain classes on their schedules that wouldn't allow them to schedule into accelerated learning. So some of our students will be taking accelerated learning courses before school. So if your student has a 0 period accelerated learning course, they can see which days of the week and what room number and what teacher they have for their accelerated learning course. If they have a before school course, it's not every day. It's going to be like Monday, Wednesday. For instance, if they've got reading. But that's the difference. So 0 period, if they have golf, if they have drill team, that may be after school. But if they have accelerated learning, it's from 7:15 to 7:45. Does that clear that up? Got a question?
I have several.
Have several?
Will there be another opportunity for drug testing for junior high or high school athletics?
The question was, do we have another opportunity for drug testing for high school or junior high athletics? Absolutely. In fact, to that parent, look in your emails soon. We will send out information. Once school starts, we say that Wednesday nights are going to be the nights our students in the drug testing program have to have a meeting and an initial test. So every Wednesday night for the first few weeks of school, we'll do that at 6 p.m. I'll get the location and information from the athletic directors and get it to parents. Good question.
How can I add my new classes onto Google Classroom?
The question was, how can I add my new classes onto Google Classroom? The one thing I'm going to say with that young student right now, school starts Thursday, let's wait till the first day of school on that question. The other is, I'm going to collect all of the Google Classroom codes from the campus. By next Monday, I'll send that out to parents, and parents, you can have a way to look at all of your kids' teachers and what their Google Classroom code's on, so if you need to help them join. But their teachers are going to help them the first day of school.
The next question is, if I wasn't able to pick up my Chromebook, am I able to tomorrow?
The question was, if I'm unable to pick up my Chromebook, if I haven't picked up my Chromebook, remember again, if you didn't get your stuff taken care of, if you didn't get your Chromebook, you'll get it after school begins.
One more.
And I'll take one more question and I'm going to move through.
Any online classes, are any online classes happening since cases are rising? Can we use Google Classroom, not Edgenuity? A lot of students fail because of Edgenuity, not just because of immersion.
All right, there was a lot in that question, so I'm going to sum it up. The first question was, does Kennedale ISD have a virtual option for students? Not right now, not at this time. The state did not, in the legislative session I just talked about, they did not provide schools with a funding mechanism for virtual option. Last spring we were talking about maybe that's an option we have this year, because some of our students really succeeded in that. And we actually didn't know what this was going to look like at the beginning. But again, we had a very quiet period there in the spring and early part of the summer. COVID has just really gotten hot again here recently. We don't have a virtual option right now. I will say there are some larger districts right now. I know Frisco ISD and some others. They have gotten virtual options for some kids. Maybe in, I think Frisco, it was their younger kids, or maybe that was Plano. But those districts that are doing that are using local funding mechanisms to fund those. Right now, you haven't seen a lot of school districts our size make that decision because, again, the state is not providing a funding mechanism for the teachers and those things. So right now, our way of learning is in person to start the year. Our teachers will be teaching. Now, by the way, a teacher asked a question about Google Classroom and Edgenuity. Google Classroom is a place to put things for that parent. Edgenuity was a program that we bought that provided us with some curriculum and some online lessons to help us with virtual learning. So I'll say this, Google Classroom was the place you could put Edgenuity lessons. So there's a little bit of a difference, but no, we are not relying on Edgenuity as a primary resource right now. We are relying on our teachers interacting with students. All right. I'm going to hold on to some questions right now. By the way, just to let you know, parents, what we've done is we've asked to make accelerated learning possibilities happen in the morning. We've aligned our formal tutoring days and our days when teachers meet during that 7:15 to 7:45 block. You can read that slide there. But with this, one of our goals, why do we have some courses before school right now? We are trying to serve all 300 plus of these students that need this accelerated learning. We couldn't do it all during the school day. Any student that was going to have a before school accelerated learning class, we've made sure we've put parent phone calls out. So parents, I still haven't heard back from a few parents, but for students that we needed to build that morning session, wanted to make sure that we had parent permission first so there's no surprises. But our goal with all that we do is to get as many kids to meet state standards as possible. In that, on our website, you can get our current master teacher schedule, okay? You can see some different things. It's color-coded by departments. For instance, purple is our English department. All those intervention courses, like those accelerated courses, are in black on our schedule. All of our teachers' conference periods are in yellow. Anything green is an elective, so you can see those things. One of the things I'll say about our master schedule this year that we did, last year we toyed with a new athletic period for 9th grade boys. It split up the number of kids that were in our athletic period to make it a little safer environment in the locker room. Our coaches actually liked it so much, we're going to do that again, but this time we're actually moving boys athletics during the lunch 5th period, so they got more time to do athletics, to get changed, to get showered, and then they'll have sea lunch and come back to class. But guys, you can get that. Schedule. It's on the website. If that updates during the year for any reason, I will update it on the website. Just to note, teachers, the one thing I've also put on that, our teachers are required to have at least one formal tutoring session. If you know teachers at Kennedale High School, most of them will offer kids anything. They will meet kids anywhere for tutorials. I've got the list posted. It is out there. It is on the website of our teachers' tutorial times. I'll also send it via email. But if your child needs tutoring on a day of the week other than the one listed, tell them to set an appointment with the teacher. All right? By the way, I will also put this list online. If your student didn't know who their lunch teacher was, if you've got that presentation at home, you can scroll in on that image. But I will send out a list to teach tomorrow. I'll send out a list of our lunchroom assignments so kids can know if their teacher, whoever their 5th period teacher is, I'll send a list that tells them if they have A, B, or C lunch. All right? But it is done by teacher, and we do try to balance our lunches to make sure we have enough classroom space. Parents, you may be visiting schools. I will say right now, if you're a visitor, we are getting visitors back. You've got a buzz-in system, a safety system in the office. If our office staff gets busy, please be patient with us. That buzz-in system is for safety. We are going to keep our office open for 15 minutes before and after school. So if you say, Mr. Cagle, are you going to be there? I'm running from work just as fast as I can. I've got to keep our employees in there, our office staff in there 8 hours a day with their lunch and everything. But we've scheduled most of them to where we can keep our office open 15 minutes before and after school. So that would be from 7:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. All right? Okay, parents, just a few things. I can only cover so much in so much time tonight. There's lots of information that's out there, and there's lots still being developed. We started school very early, and again, after a legislative year. Our district is still finalizing a lot of documents, but documents that are relevant to you, documents that are relevant to your students, and I've got a list of lots of things that I want to remind you of. There are lots of guiding documents in the district. For instance, you can go to the website and look up our board policy, which is the legal guidance that our board gives us to operate schools. There's lots of district procedures. For instance, there are procedures for school buses and things like that. There are procedures for, lots of things, for registering online. We've got our grading guidelines. Our grading guidelines, a parent asked earlier, where are the grading guidelines? Again, if you'll go to that website I showed you earlier in the presentation, go to the Kennedale High School website, look under the 2021-22 tab. I've posted for you grading guidelines, and we'll send it to your emails very soon. But make sure your students are familiar with all those things, our code of conduct, our student handbooks. Those are district documents that will be posted online. We also have athletic handbooks. Make sure if your kid's on the cheerleading squad or athletic team, they know, they're aware. If there's a rule, for instance, that if you miss 3 practices, you're not on the team. Guys, if the handbook outlines those things, make sure your students are aware of expectations so there's no surprises. All right? But there's lots of things that you can look at. Other things, guys, one of the big documents I sent out, if you see, anybody seen one that looks like this with lots of colors? Right now it's very colorful because we got a lot of teacher things going on, so you see a lot of red. I think that's one from earlier in August that I sent out. But this is called the Master Calendar of Events. I had a parent walk up at registration and said, "Thank you, Mr. Cagle, for over-communicating." And so I took that and I said, "Well, I'm sorry I'm bombarding you sometimes." He said, "No, thank you. I appreciate you keeping us apprised of all the events. I do over-communicate, but again, that's to help parents. Parents don't always see that first email. They always don't. You're busy. You don't always see the second one sometimes. So I try to reinforce things. I'm going to show you some ways to stay connected here later on. But I send this out. I update it every week. Parents, you can actually, community members, if you are, for instance, on a Kennedale, if you got a Kennedale community theater event, or you do trunk or treat and you know those dates and times, send them to me. There's my email address. You can send those to me and get some things. Parents, I'll take some more questions in just a minute. This is one of the biggest things I mentioned earlier. Parents, if you don't know about this one, if you are getting tired, I know I'm over the hour mark. I will try to get through as quickly as possible. But there is a new thing in Kennedale ISD called Hazel Health. Okay? What is Hazel Health? Well, you're at work 8 hours a day or longer. Your kids are with us. Some of them are here from 7 in the morning. If they play athletics, sometimes they're here till 10 or 11 at night. They are with our athletic trainers and our school nurse. They are typically, a lot of times, a student's first contact if they have a medical situation, a sickness and things. There is an option for you. It's called Hazel Health. What it is, basically, there's some information on the screen. What it is that with your permission, if your child comes to the nurse's office and is sick, they can actually, if they have Hazel Health, they can do a teledoc visit from the nurse's office. It's telehealth, okay? And it's an option for all students at Kennedale ISD. What does that mean to you as a parent? You don't have to take off work. You don't have to come and get them and then take them to the doctor. But this is an option where if you sign up, okay, there's more information there. I'm not an expert on Hazel Health. I just know that again, I said Mr. G brought this into our district. I think this is a great thing. Imagine just your kid having flu-like symptoms or stomach ache. I don't know. All the things that kids have, right? This is a way that they could do a doctor visit, and those doctors can evaluate them via telehealth from the nurse's office. Pretty cool thing, right? And I believe, is that free of charge? It's free of charge. Okay, I do have a parent that knows. Yes, ma'am. That is a great question. The question was, is it their doctor, the child's doctor, or a team of doctors? I'm going to say this. I have no idea. I told you at the beginning that if I didn't know the answer to a question, I'd let you know. There's one. Okay?
It's most likely going to be with a team of doctors with the telehealth.
Okay. It is a team of doctors with the telehealth program. That is who would be servicing. So it may not be your child's primary care physician. That's a good question. All right. Any other questions at this point? I'm going to just recommend, guys, I'd say this. This probably saves a lot of parents time, energy, and money. And it's also a safer thing, especially in a pandemic for your children. Right? Okay. So, got a health-related question from the chat line.
For clarification, will KISD report out to parents positive COVID cases as they did last year? How will that work?
There is, we will be sending out some more guidance and things. Last year when I did this presentation, I spent an hour and a half on safety. What is school going to look like? I showed you that we were going to have arrows in the hallway, and that we were going to seat kids 6 feet apart, and that we measured the square footage of all of our classrooms to see how many kids we could fit in a classroom. This year I said things are quite different. This year the governor has told us we can't mandate masks. And TEA has sent out guidance. The TEA guidance on this question says that we do not have to report out our positive COVID cases. So that's differences. It looks very different right now. Parents, and just because we're getting that question, I'm going to report that one back to Mr. G. So administrators, if you all will help me remember to get that question back. That's something, as a school, we haven't made clear. TEA just sent out some guidance. It was actually posted, I think, at the end of last week. Their guidance this year is a lot different than it was last year. We are no longer, last year we were required to report out every time we had a COVID case. Guys, I can confirm right now, we've got COVID cases in our community, but we are not required to report them out this year. So just know that the Delta variant, I would say, is affecting our community just like it is everyone else in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But no, you won't see those emails. That's a great question. Anything else from the chat line? All right, Hazel Health. Heard it's a good thing. Miss Middleton was an administrator in Itasca, Texas. Did y'all have Hazel Health?
It wasn't the same program, but we did have a health program that we were able to do telehealth doctor visits with our children.
So Miss Middleton says she was in Itasca. They had not Hazel Health, but one similar, and it was very beneficial, correct, to their kids.
I used it with my kids several times.
She said she used it with her own kids, and it helped her as a working parent. So parents, get that. I am going to bring Miss Middleton up, speaking of, so I'll switch you laptops. So I'll watch the chat line. She'll answer the next round of questions. But please welcome Miss Middleton. She's going to talk briefly. She's going to be a good speaker at our fall open house. This year we're going to do open house a little differently. You can visit your teachers' classrooms as Miss Middleton's making her way to the stage. But our open house, we're also going to have some speakers where you can have forums to listen and learn things about our school. She is over CTE and CCMR opportunities. So here we go.
Good evening. It's nice to be here. I'm proud to be a Kennedale Wildcat. I'm having a good time. I started in June. I am over CCMR. My title is CCMR Coordinator. That's College Career Military Readiness. So if it has to do with any of those things, it's most likely falls under my guidance. So we just wanted to mention that, as Mr. Cagle said, I will be giving some updates and some presentations during our open house and different parent nights that we have. Soon to come to the website. If you've been here, if you have a student that's been here, and you might know that on the website there will be guiding documents as far as when the SAT or PSAT, ASVAB, all those tests are given. There will be documents on the website, and they will be blasted out to the students, and we'll also send them out to parents as well that can help you get your students signed up for any of those tests so that you know when what the requirements are, when the deadlines are. There will also be document like what's up there right now that gives you what the financial deadlines are. These tests that they take, the majority of them do have costs to them, along with dual credit classes and AP testing. So this information, I'm working on it. That's currently what's on my workload, that I'm getting those uploaded to the website. And I would say by the end of the day tomorrow, all of that should be up there. And we will send, here in the next week or so, we will send out some information regarding all these testing opportunities for your students. If anybody has any questions about any of that, I'm more than happy to answer at any time. Oh, it's not on there. Allison Middleton, so Middleton A at KISDTX.net is my email. Is there any questions in the audience for that currently or online? Okay.
Ms. Middleton, here's a Hazel Health question you can go ahead and answer. The parent actually commented, I believe Hazel Health was $45 if they had commercial insurance. The question is, do we have to use Hazel, or can we use a different company?
So Hazel Health, and I'm not aware, I haven't looked into Hazel Health. That's not what my previous school had. I will say that Hazel Health just gives you that option of allowing your student to see the doctor here on campus through telehealth. versus you having to pull them out of school and take them and see the doctor. So that's what it gives you the opportunity. I cannot speak to whether or not there's a fee at this time.
There's some other questions coming up. There is a CTE, CCMR question. Can you earn an associate's degree while in high school?
So the question was, can you earn an associate's degree while in high school? So the answer to that is yes, you can if you take enough dual credit. I believe our dual credit for our academic courses, math, reading, that sort of thing, they start the junior year. So that if you're not taking classes outside of just the school year, if you're not taking summer classes, then it kind of makes it difficult to earn the full associate's degree. We do have some level 1 certification programs in our CTE department that aren't full associate's degrees, but they do complete with those, the level 1 certificates. So we offer that in welding and in automotive. If you have questions regarding specific dual credit courses, or you want your student to take something other than English or math or science, if you want them to take those courses, they can begin before their junior year, taking them in the summertime. You just need to communicate with their counselor that they are taking dual credit classes, and to make sure that it will provide appropriate, in line with what their diploma plan is.
As I come up, I'm going to read a question that's from someone on the chat line. It said, will parents be fined if we refuse to send our children to school because we don't agree on the government's approach on safety protocols on COVID? And so that's a very, the first part of that question I'll answer is, parents, I don't fine anybody. I'm principal of a high school, and I don't want to fine anybody, but I will fine students if you lose your charger. I guess I've got to correct that. But students, don't lose your chargers. But COVID, parents, you've got to make, this is the COVID crisis, the pandemic has really been hard on parents, as you've had to make a lot of personal decisions about your families and the choices that you have with schooling. And so one thing I'll say in Kennedale ISD right now, in Kennedale High School, our option is an in-person option. We do not have a virtual option. And so parents know we're not going to fine you for being in school, and I don't know who will, but I do know that for all of our parents that education is a top priority to them. And so I just would encourage you that if our in-person environment is not for you, that you may want to explore the virtual option at a school. And I'm not encouraging anyone to go, but here's what I'd say. If I had a choice over your kid being in school and not being in school, I certainly want our kids to be in school. So, those are choices that you got to make, and we've all had to make difficult choices during the midst of the pandemic. It boils down to choices about wearing a mask or not, choices about getting an immunization shot or not. A lot of personal choices that families are making. And the choice to send a kid to school at an in-person environment is no different. But to that parent, I would say I feel and understand the difficulties in your decisions, but I would say explore your options if needed. All right. In the back of this, at the end of this PowerPoint, we do need to close it out so everybody can get to bed and get ready for school on August 12th. We do have some key changes and updates. We do have our board has had a community focus group. They've adopted a new vision, mission, and goals. They've also got new ways to measure whether we are being successful in Kennedale ISD, whether our schools are performing in the goals that they set out. They have new, what we call scorecards. But in this slide, you can see the new district mission, vision, and goals. Those were actually unveiled at our district convocation. You saw pictures, if you've been on Facebook, of our cheerleaders holding up engage and rip and equip and excel. Those are the 4 things that our vision, that our board and our community members want to do, and we do have a new mission statement there as well. I've got a lot of things there that I've already talked about in some slides, and so I'm going to go through. I've even talked about Google Classroom and how we're going to be using it a little bit differently. I've talked about the 0 period. You guys at home can read those key changes and updates. Again, that's in your email. We will talk more a little bit about this at Open House. Ms. Middleton will tell you more about, I had a parent with a question, hey, can our kids get an associate's degree? Parents, we're going to have a presentation at Open House about our CCMR program where you're going to hear about all the opportunities that we have. For instance, this year we have a new partnership with TCC. Last year we had some kids go over for welding. This year we have some kids going over for auto and engine analysis. Okay, Mr. Cagle had to get that right, but we have a lot of cool programs. We've got 10 CTE strands out of the 16 possible in the state. We have a new dual credit system called On-Ramps, which is a partnership with the University of Texas, and we got some new courses. We got geoscience and chemistry, but I want you to come out to Open House. If you have those questions, come see Ms. Middleton, and she'll tell you about some new things, including our new college preparatory courses and our new partnership with what's called Texas College Bridge. So she'll tell you more about those at Open House. We're going to have normal lunch and breakfast service. I do want parents to just remember our cafeterias last year, we spread out. We had kids eating everywhere. We had less kids and we had kids eating everywhere. This year it's going to be that normal lunchroom atmosphere. So just remember that, and your kids need the badges. So as I wind down this presentation, parents, I'll say with this, I hope I've answered some of your questions. I hope that we've covered some main things. I hope that we get the information out to you. But the biggest thing, school starts on Thursday. We start at 7:45. So if you'll drop your kids sometime off between 7 and 7:45, those kids, we will take care of them, and they'll take care of the rest. Okay? It is ultimately a high schooler's responsibility. You've got a very caring staff here at Kennedale High School. We will nurture these kids. We will remember. A lot of them haven't been to school in a year and a half. Mr. Cagle spent a lot of this afternoon trying to show freshmen and sophomores how to work locks on their lockers. We're going to nurture them. We're going to take care of them. But get them here in the morning when they're supposed to be. You can help us at home. Again, a reminder down there at the bottom to go over their expectations for dress code, their expectations for how to act at school, for how to behave, to read those handbooks with them and to them. Tell them on these other pages that I have that they may see our superintendent all the way to groups from the central admin office to administrators in their classrooms at any time, seeing what they're doing in what we call district and campus instructional rounds. We are doing that this year to show off our teachers. We didn't have a lot of classroom visitors last year, and so our teachers went through a rough year just like your students, just like you have, and we're going to showcase our teachers. We got some cool things at Kennedale High School. Friday night's a big night. We unveil new, one of the best, if you've talked to our athletes who've been out to football practice or soccer practice or whatever, band practice, our new turf that we put in the stadium is high tech and it is amazing. Our players were talking about how soft it was compared to the old turf, which was still a pretty new technology. Friday night, it's a big night. We had a volleyball game last night. We started the year and beat Midlothian Heritage. I can't think of a better way to start off the year with that red-hot volleyball team over the last couple of years. And way to go volleyball, but football is going to have their first scrimmage at Wildcat Stadium Friday night. Our band may not be at that one, but we'll be back to normal. All those changes, parents, you can't remember everything I said tonight, and you can't remember everything that comes in your email. And this is the age where information comes at you from all directions. I'm going to be the principal that over-communicates. And I know some of you will be tired of those dings on your phone or those phone calls. Please know that it comes from a good place. I know you're busy. And these are some ways also, since you are busy, that you can keep up with us. Mr. Smith is over there, our academic dean. He handles our Twitter account. I handle our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at Kennedale High School. Twitter is a little different. The handle, look at it, it's your KHS principal, all right? Because there's lots of KISDs or KHSs out there in the United States, but that is our Twitter handle. But also, one of the biggest ways, if you want to follow Kennedale, is to download the Kennedale ISD app. Go to the Google Play Store, go to the Apple Store, download the Kennedale ISD app. and under settings, choose to receive notifications from Kennedale High School. All right? There's 3 ways that you can keep up, but parents, you're going to nag your kids the rest of the year because they're going to hear it from me. Tell them to check their email every day. That is our presentation for tonight. Do we have any more questions to close out the night for me or one of our other administrators? Question right here in person. We're going to send out some things, but we are back at full capacity. I'd say we are going to make, before I say open to everyone, I do want to make sure. The question was, are our games open to everyone? Well, we are going to have some new regulations in the district. Kids at a certain age must be accompanied by parents. So before we have, our elementary kids dropped off at the stadium, I want to make sure they got a parent with them. But yes, we are back and we are at full capacity. Now, if things keep going like they're going, I don't know where we'll be at the end of September. So, but yes, ma'am. Friday night, come on out to the Wildcat Stadium. Our gym was full, well, it wasn't full, but we had a very good indoor crowd the other night against Midlothian with our parents, and Midlothian always brings a good contingent of parents, so good first-year rivalry matchup. I loved it. It was good to see normalcy again. Anybody else? Questions? Questions from the chat line?
Someone said I tried to sign up for Hazel Health and it didn't have Kennedale High School listed, but I'm putting in the link just for Kennedale.
All right, so somebody online said they tried to sign up for Hazel Health, but it couldn't find Kennedale High School. So on the chat line and in this presentation, you have the link directly for Kennedale High School, the one that was sent out by the district. Any other questions? Our in-person audience has been great. Our online audience has been great. That went pretty well. I want to thank Mr. Oster in the back for streaming us live. Parents, that is all. If you have questions for me afterwards, come on and stay and ask. Have a good night.